I waited all my life to feel seen by my family, to feel like I belonged, to feel like my identity, my choices, and my truth mattered. But that day, sitting in the sterile, sunlit office of a lawyer, I realized they never did. I am Margaret. I am a transgender woman in my late 60s now, and I have spent a lifetime being unseen, unheard, and unloved. If you're listening to me on Oma True Stories, thank you for letting me finally speak my truth. When I was born, my parents were proud. My father smiled in a way that suggested the world could never touch him, and my mother held me like a delicate promise. I was supposed to be a boy. They wanted a son. And for a little while, I tried. I played the games they wanted. I hid the parts of me that made me different. But I wasn't a boy. I knew it before I could even name it. I loved the softness of my mother's dresses. I watched my sister's hair fall down her back and imagined brushing it for hours. I longed to wear her scarves and ribbons in secret, feeling a peace I could not speak aloud. When I finally told them, I was 17. I remember the quiet in the room, like the air itself was holding its breath. "Mom, Dad, I don't feel like your son," I whispered. "I feel like your daughter." My father's face tightened, the kind of tightness that meant storms were coming. My mother's lips trembled, but no words came out. And then, the words came for me. "No son of mine talks like that," my father said. The slap came swiftly, and then the silence. My mother's tears were hot on my cheeks. My sister laughed. And just like that, I was alone in the house I had called home. I left that night, a bag clutched in my hand, shame pressed against my chest like a stone. I was invisible, and I had begun to understand that being different could cost you everything. I learned survival early. I slept on couches, scrubbed floors, and worked jobs that left me tired and small. I hid who I was because the world and my family would not accept me. But inside me, I was always growing, always becoming the woman I knew I could be. In my 30s, I began to live fully as Margaret. It was not easy. The world was cruel, and I often wondered if I had the courage to keep going. People spat words at me, threw shame in my direction, and sometimes even friends disappeared when they learned my truth. But I also found people who saw me, people who loved me, people who became my family. I worked hard, started a small tailoring business, and built a life from what I had. I made wedding dresses for women who sometimes could not meet my gaze once they knew I was trans. And yet, each dress, each stitch became a testament to my existence, to my resilience, to my quiet, unshakable dignity. Then came the letter. I had been doing well for a few years, my business stable, my home peaceful. And one afternoon, a letter arrived from a lawyer. It was brief, polite, and devastating. It said simply, "Margaret, your parents' estate has been settled. Your brother inherits everything. You have been left nothing." I read the words over and over, thinking my eyes must be deceiving me. I felt my chest tighten. My hands shook. I remembered every year of being told I was wrong. Every time my father had said I was a disgrace. Every insult, every rejection, every shove out the door. And now, even in death, they had chosen him over me. I called the lawyer. My voice was quiet, measured, but the tremor beneath it gave me away. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Yes, Ms. Margaret," the lawyer replied. "The estate was legally assigned entirely to your brother. There is nothing for you." I hung up and sat on the floor of my tiny living room, staring at the light coming through the window. Sunlight touched the edges of my hands, warm and indifferent. It was beautiful outside, yet inside me, there was a storm. I had always dreamed of fairness, of recognition. I had hoped that perhaps in the end they would see me, but life had proven them incapable of it, and I realized I did not need them to validate me. When I told my brother, he sounded triumphant. He didn't ask how I was. He didn't express regret for our childhood. He only said, "Mom and Dad knew who belonged." I guess it was me. And for a moment, the old hurt flared, a fire long buried under decades of endurance. But I let it pass. I was older now. I was stronger. I whispered to myself, I am not defined by what they give me. I am defined by what I keep in my heart. That night, I sat by my window and watched the sunset. I thought about my life, about the nights I slept cold, about the insults, the humiliation, the isolation, about the times I wondered if I would ever belong. And then I realized I had survived. I had thrived. I had built a life filled with love, work, and quiet dignity. My parents' rejection had shaped me, yes, but it had not broken me. I smiled softly. There were days when I still felt the sting. Visiting old photographs of my parents, reading letters from my brother, hearing stories from cousins I barely knew. And yet, I had learned the most important lesson. Self-worth is not granted. It is claimed. I began to speak my truth gently, sharing my story with younger trans women who were afraid of family, afraid of the world, afraid of being themselves. If you're listening to me on Oma True Stories, thank you. Thank you for letting my life, with all its pain and resilience, matter. One quiet evening, I visited the old family home. It was empty now, faded and silent. I walked through the rooms slowly, touching the walls that had once held so much anger, so much neglect. I did not feel bitterness. I did not feel the urge for revenge. I felt peace. I whispered softly, I am still here. I am whole. I am enough. For the first time in my life, I could say those words to them and not need them to hear them. The journey had been long, filled with betrayal, cruelty, racism, and neglect. But I had carried it all with grace. I had chosen to live my truth instead of dying under their judgment. And now, as I look back, I can see the beauty in that life, in the struggle, in the quiet victories, in the love I cultivated on my own. I shared this story on Oma True Stories because somewhere, someone like me might need to hear it tonight. That even when the people who were supposed to love you fail, your life still matters. Your story still matters. I am Margaret. I am a transgender woman. I am older, wiser, and stronger. And though my parents left me nothing, I inherited everything that truly counts, myself. And that, my dear listener, is enough.